Ditch that slow connection and get hooked up with iFiber today. Give us a call at 360-427-4000 and find out more at iFiber.tv. iFiber high-speed internet. Internet at the speed of life. It's 8:15 at iFiber One News Radio. Good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. We've got a great conversation right now with Seth Elson, Program Development Lead for the Hood Canal Salmon Enhancement Group, the Salmon Center. Also on the air with me this morning, Tamara Cowles from the Salmon Center. She's the Stewardship Manager. Good morning to you both.
Hey, how's it going?
Happy New Year. Good to see you guys. And,
same to you.
You know, it's already the 24th of January.
Can you believe it?
Amazing. What have you guys already been able to work on with the Salmon Center?
Yeah, we've been doing a lot. You know, the first step for us in the new year is always kind of looking back on our successes from the past year and what we've accomplished, and we have a lot to celebrate. You know, we one of our favorite things from the past year is we were able to reach over 3,500 students this year in the Mason, Jefferson, Kitsap County areas, most of those in Mason County. So that's a really big milestone for us. We did a lot of great habitat restoration work. You know, we placed about 24 log jams in some of our local rivers. We did a lot of invasive weed surveys. We did a big barge removal up on the Dosey Wallop. So we had a lot of cool projects, but it makes us more excited for this year and what we have planned as far as some new projects underway and things like that, and just trying to improve some of our other programs. And so,
Tamara, talk to me a little bit about what a manager of stewardship does.
Well, I do a lot of outreach to landowners. I primarily work with knotweed treatment to control knotweed on streams and rivers in Hood Canal. But I also go out and reach out to landowners to develop other projects. So most of my stuff is to work with landowners.
The knotweed is that's a killer.
Yeah,
Man.
It's horrible.
How has it been? Is it starting to come down? Are landowners willing and
yeah, we have
to
really
talk?
good participation. Our organization does 8 rivers and streams on Hood Canal. There's other organizations, the County Weed Coordinator, MCD, Mason Conservation District, which also do work in Mason County. And we have made a lot of headway on the streams and rivers. Unfortunately, it's a really aggressive grower, so it's several years commitment to take care of this. And a lot of landowners, you have to foster that relationship, and then as it grows, they are more open to taking care of it, and they've been really supportive. So.
I'd imagine you can't just kind of come on somebody's land and say, hey, listen, guess what? We're tearing all this stuff out. Trust us, it's no good.
Yep.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, and so in our knotweed program, we'll take care of the knotweed, and then we offer free plantings of native plants so to try and fill that gap, that space, so no more invasives can move in and take over.
Are we at a point where the knotweed population is decreasing, staying kind of steady, or are we unfortunately still seeing it increase?
Well, in the rivers we've been treating, we've seen a lot of decrease, definitely making headway, but there's still a lot of streams and rivers that aren't being addressed.
I bet.
And that kind of leads into one of our newer projects, which is a cooperative weed management area for Hood Canal, which is going to be the 3 coordinators, the different counties and the conservation districts, ourselves, another fisheries enhancement group, and the Hood Canal Coordinating Council. We just received a grant. We're going to form a steering committee and solidify our partnerships, share resources, seek funding together, and try and really control knotweed on Hood Canal and not lose that ground we've made, and hopefully gain a little more ground, because it's definitely detrimental to salmon.
Yeah.
And with those combined resources, too, we'll be able to better fight some of our other noxious weeds, too. So not just knotweed, but other things like scotch broom and all sorts of different invasives that we
It really gets
have
in
issues
there
with.
and just takes hold, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And the county weed coordinators are a great resource, even for landowners to get a hold of to figure out what to do on their land. Our county weed coordinator, Pat Grover, is very talented. And, I mean, the problem for most of us is we don't have a lot of funding. So the idea of pooling our resources together, not just for weed coordinators' expertise, but, you know, everyone working together is the way we're going to take care of it. Yeah.
What else is the Salmon Center up to this year?
Yeah, we've got some other big projects. One of them is forage fish. So a lot of people aren't necessarily very familiar with forage fish, but we've got things like sand lance and herring And forage fish provide really important food for a lot of our salmon, as they're cruising along the coastline. And unfortunately, we don't really know a whole lot about them as far as their behavior, their spawning, things like that. And so we recently received some funds to do some beach surveys. So starting up this spring, we're going to start conducting a monthly beach survey on numerous sites throughout Hood Canal, and we'll be training up some volunteer help for that. But that'll be a really exciting project. And
yeah, that's a great project. It fills a data gap. I mean, there's not a lot of knowledge known about where they are spawning. So once we can determine where they are spawning, you can look at conservation or restoration efforts at that spot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, and then we've also got some work up on the Duckbush River that might be of interest. It's right up on the county line and a nice area of recreation for a lot of us here down in Mason County, and so we've got some work planned there.
Yeah, the Jefferson Land Trust had done some work on this same area in the Duckbush, and there's a little side channel of the river, and it's cut off from the river during warm times, but at high river events, water will get over there and fish can get trapped there. So we want to reconnect it, and not only will it stop them getting trapped, but it'll allow the baby fish, to swim up there if there's a lot of current and get out of the current, a little safe refuge for them. So it's something that I think we're working with Mason Conservation District on to move forward on getting that.
And it can help alleviate high flows to an extent too, as far as flooding. It gives just a little bit more space for that water to disperse into.
Filter out instead of.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty cool project too.
Yeah, so those are just a couple of our projects coming up just in the greater Mason region.
And I'm sure you could use volunteer help.
Oh, yeah.
Always, yeah.
As always.
Yeah, so like I said, with the forage fish surveys, for instance, that's something we're going to really rely on volunteers for. We're hoping to kind of get all of our stuff in place here in the next month or two, and then, like I said, start surveys later this spring. So any help we can get, just, there's going to be a lot of sites, and so it's really informal, just a half hour at each site, or, whatever you can do, but we'll definitely could use the help for those. Outside of that, we've always got a lot going on at our farm, a lot of maintenance stuff this time of the year, trying to fix things after the winter and the fall storms, and then soon we'll be moving back into our bigger fish projects, so like the Hood Canal Steelhead Project, things like that.
Yeah.
Lots of good stuff from the Salmon Center for sure. You can find out more at the Hood Canal Salmon Enhancement Group and the Salmon Center up in Belfair, right there on State Route 3. Seth Elson, Tamara Cowles, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Talk with you.
Same to you.
It's 8:22 here at iFiber One News Radio.
Time is running out. If you or your family are still without health insurance under Washington Health Plan Finder, you have until the end of the month to get registered or face a fine. The deadline for enrollment is January 31st, and Mason General Hospital offers assistance Monday through Friday, plus 2 Saturday enrollment workshops on January 21st and 28th from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the Eleanor Room at the hospital. For workshop information or for help getting registered, call Project Supervisor Susanna Lopez at 360-432-7766.
Mason General Hospital and family of clinics. Equal opportunity provider, translation services provided.
Mason General and family of clinics.
If you're struggling to pay the mortgage, Making Home Affordable is a free government resource that can make it easier. Call 888-995-HOPE or visit makinghomeaffordable.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Treasury, HUD, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Ken Slater, the Roof Doctor. If you're like me, your family's important, so make sure that they're well taken care of. One of the best ways to do that is to provide a safe and warm home to live in. For over 50 years, the Roof Doctor has been helping families stay safe and warm by building roofs that last for generations. Our teams have some of the most experienced roofers in the area, and we only use the highest quality materials to keep your family safe, warm, and dry. That's the Roof Doctor. Give us a call.
Get exactly what you want when you buy a vehicle at Whitney Chevrolet. Lifetime oil changes with every new or used vehicle purchase. It's at Whitney Chevrolet. Top dollar for your trade-in. It's at Whitney Chevrolet. Guaranteed financing regardless of your credit history. It's at Whitney Chevrolet. Whitney Chevrolet. Home of lifetime oil changes, above fair trade value, and guaranteed financing. Get what you want at Whitney Chevrolet.
A $150 negotiable document fee may be added to the sale price.
It's 8:25 at iFiber One News Radio. Good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey. Hope you had a good night last night. Getting up for a great day today. We're looking at that South Sound forecast at about 31 degrees and 50. We're seeing a pretty nice rest of the week here around the South Sound. 50 will be the high, even into the weekend. Sunday, we could see a tenth of an inch of rain, and then back more rain Tuesday, which BTW is the last day of January already. Moving into February, a week from tomorrow. Also, coming up on the air today in just a little bit, in the next half hour or so, Mike Wittenberg, CPA, talking about 2016's tax rules, some potential tax changes, and some decisions that may impact you. Also, we'll maybe take a look at some of the President Trump's proposals and how that may impact us as well. A couple reminders from Mike Wittenberg as well. You can visit him and find out more from his business there, Mike Wittenberg, CPA. It's 8:26 at iFiber One News Radio. We continue to look at some of the issues that are going on around the area. Saturday was the Fill the Truck campaign, and Sean Wells was out doing some coverage for us, and it was a big success, and he files this report for us this morning.
Citizens of Mason County came out to support Fill the Truck 2, a community donation drive to help more than 400 homeless students attending Mason County schools. Donated items varied from canned food, hygiene products, school supplies, and clothing. Volunteers filled up Taylor Shellfish farm trucks parked outside of both the Shelton Walmart and Fred Meyer. In total, donated items amounted up to 49 pallets, which will be distributed equally to schools throughout Mason County. Fill the Truck 2 co-founder Jenny Goose knew she could rely on Mason County residents to make this special event happen.
It's amazing. You know, I think we got teary-eyed this morning seeing the fire truck pull up. Mason County Fire District 16 is here helping us unload. Search and rescues over at Fred Meyer. Just so heartwarming to see the community come out and support everybody.
When Josh Turner, a volunteer at Mason County Fire District 16, heard about Fill the Truck 2, he was eager to help out any way he could. Josh was one of a handful of volunteers from the district loading donations onto Taylor farm trucks. He couldn't believe the show of support from Mason County residents.
Oh, this is awesome. I didn't think of anything like this. I thought it would be kind of slow and didn't really know what to expect, but it's a lot of people, a lot of good things for the cause.
Along with filling the truck, Shelton Kiwanis hosted a pancake breakfast at Shelton High School with donations going toward the cause. Citizens for Shelton Schools hosted Shelton's Got Talent, while school officials gave tours of Shelton High School and Mountain View Elementary. Fill the Truck 2 co-founder Jenny Goose is excited to say the event was a big success.
We knew that people would show up, and that was the great thing about organizing this drive. We didn't really have to worry about that part. So we just want to give a shout out to everybody in Mason County for being so supportive, showing up, giving us cartfuls of groceries, clothes, hygiene products. It's been overwhelming, and we thank you so much.
For iFiber One News Radio, I'm Sean Wells.
Thank you, Sean. 8:28 here now at iFiber One News Radio, and we're getting ready for some morning stock numbers with Karen Shades Edward Jones' office on Olympic Highway South. She's going to be calling in and talking with us in a few moments here on iFiber One. In addition to that, we'll get the latest from ABC, and there we go. And let's say good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good this morning.
That's awesome.
And what's going on with Wall Street?
Well, U.S. stocks opened higher to start trading as investors assess corporate earnings and economic data. And economic news reports released earlier today showed that existing home sales fell in December, while two gauges on manufacturing showed gains. In earning news, 3M and Kimberly-Clark both posted earnings in line with expectations, while DuPont and D.H. Horton both beat estimates. Additionally, Verizon reported fourth quarter revenues that were slightly above consensus expectations, but earnings fell per share below the consensus estimate. In the bond market news, U.S. Treasury prices are trending lower, pushing yields higher this morning. So far this morning, the S&P 500, the best performing sector is basic materials, while the worst performing sector is telecom. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 45 points at 19,845. The Standard & Poor's 500 Index is up 4 points at 2,269. And the NASDAQ Composite Index is up 15 points at 5,568. This morning, volume on the New York Stock Exchange is moderate, with 209 million shares being traded, and advancers are outnumbering decliners by roughly 2-to-1 margin. In the commodity market, the spot price of gold is down $4.59 to $1,213.51. The spot price of silver is down 6 cents to $17.17, and crude oil prices are up 57 cents to $53.32. The bond market's 30-year Treasury yield is currently 3.01%, and the 10-year Treasury yield is 2.43. Stocks of local interest: Amazon is down 19 cents, Costco is up 38 cents, Boeing is up $1.57, Starbucks is up 21 cents, and Microsoft is up 16 cents. This is Karen Shea of Edward Jones, member SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and long-term financial advice. I'm located at 1051 Southeast State Route 3 in Shelton. And if you'd like additional information, you can contact me at 426-4590, and daily commentary is also located on our website at edwardjones.com.
All right, Karen, thank you much.
You're welcome.
Talk next time. It's 8:31.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you can donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-983-6530. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now. Call 1-800-983-6530. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-983-6530. That's 1-800-983-6530.
We've got some of the best in the business for political talk radio on KMAS Shelton, the Tom Hartman Show from 9 to noon, and the Mike Gallagher Show from noon to 3.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Karen Chase. Echoing his theme from yesterday's meeting with other business executives, President-elect Trump opened a meeting with auto executives pledging to bring jobs and manufacturing back to the U.S.
We had Whirlpool up yesterday. We're talking about big construction of facilities. And it's not the construction I want, although that brings jobs. It's the long-term jobs that we're looking for.
President Trump will be addressing a joint session of Congress on February 28th at the invitation of House Speaker Paul Ryan.
We had a very, very productive discussion about our agenda, including health care, tax reform, rebuilding our military, securing the border. The president is eager to get moving on this agenda, and so are we.
A fierce nor'easter is bringing miserable weather to parts of the Northeast. ABC's Rob Marciano is in Boston, seeing sleet.
Pretty easy to be mindful of the storm when it's in your face and you've got to get to work. Wind chills are below freezing even with this rain. We've got over 12,000 people without power. We expect that number to climb. And just inland, you've got snow and sleet piling up. Some schools are closed, so it's just difficult to get around anywhere in the Northeast. A tough commute for millions today.
50 counties in California are under states of emergency after relentless rain, flooding, and devastating mudslides. Oscar is a huge fan of La La Land. The movie drew 14 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture, Actress, and Actor for Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling. Natalie Portman was nominated for Jackie, and Denzel Washington and Viola Davis for Best Actor and Best Supporting Actress in Fences.
It's not easy for me to admit that I've been standing in the same place for 18 years.
Well, I've been standing with you. I've been right here with you, Troy. I got a life, too. I gave 18 years of my life to stand in the same spot as you.
Roman Polanski is bowing out as a judge at this year's Caesar Awards. Those are the French equivalents of the Oscars. His lawyer says he was saddened by women's groups' protests of his presence, and he didn't want to be a distraction from the awards. This is ABC News.
From the iFiber One News Radio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. The city is looking into becoming part of the Mason Conservation District, which would give the city and residents access to a range of services that focus on sustainable use and enhancement of natural resources. Currently, the city of Shelton is not included within the district, so residents, businesses, and agencies within the city are not eligible to access the services offered. The Mason Conservation District provides support in the form of planning, design, and research to members within its boundaries. Recently, the city's partnered with Mason Conservation in a limited capacity for the new parking lot project owned by Mason Transit Authority on Railroad Avenue. There's no cost to the city being included in the Mason Conservation District. Likewise, the district does not have any regulatory authority. The commission approved allowing Community Development Director Mark Ziegler to pursue the requirements to join the Conservation District and receive some of the benefits. During the City Commission meeting, Chief Tim McKern gave the emergency response stats for areas within Central Mason. Total responses in 2016 were 5,172, of which 2,475 calls were from within the city of Shelton. Rescue and emergency were the cause of 80.32% of the total activity for the year. 2017 has 144 incidents to date in January, again with the majority of the calls being rescue and emergency related. The Mason County Sheriff's Office is tracking local crime. Sheriff Casey Salisbury told Daybreak why.
We have dispelled so many myths and rumors over the years, and now Troy has come in and helped us out to where we have it. It's automated. We can tell what's happening where, and when people tell me there's been a whole bunch of crimes, we can actually look up generally what it was. And then I oftentimes have people tell me that they've called and called and called and called and called and called, and nobody's done anything.
Sure. Well,
the fact is we can go back and look if you've called or not. And many of those people that say that indeed have not called, or they've called once and that was it, and it was a minor thing. So now we're tracking that accurately.
Crime stats are available now on the new Mason County Sheriff's Office website. Troy Jasmine, who works with the Sheriff's Department to help make the technology possible, explains how it works.
So we wanted to make sure that people understand that if you look at the stats, you can actually look right down to the neighborhood. You can click on the stat for that neighborhood. You can click on the case. It'll give you a case number. And if you really, really want to know more information about it, you can do it through our website through public information requests. But all that information is there.
Click on crime stats on the website at so.co.mason.wa.us. You'll find that link along with the full interview on the Daybreak page at iFiber1newsradio.com. For iFiber One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
Thank you, Mary Lynn. Taking a look at the South Sound forecast, 31 degrees and cloudy skies, warming up to 48 today with partly cloudy conditions. Tomorrow, about 50 once again, 50 into the weekend, where we may see a little bit of rain on Sunday. Other than that, things look pretty good Tuesday and into next week. 31 out there right now.
Now, from the all-new Gillis Auto Center Sports Desk, here's Jeff Slakey.
Oh, thank you much. Zach Collins had 13 points, and number 3, Gonzaga, remained the nation's only undefeated Division I team with an 83-64 victory over Portland in a game we heard here last night on iFiber One News Radio. Bulldogs have won 20 straight games. That is a great record, best in program history. They play against Thursday and then Saturday right here on iFiber One News Radio. We've got the Super Bowl for you coming up on February 5th, and the Super Bowl will be coverage. The pre-game show starts at 11 with the kickoff for the Super Bowl, I think around 3:15 or so. Atlanta Falcons versus the New England Patriots, and we've got the game for you right here on iFiber One News Radio. Continuing on from the Gillis Auto Center Sports Desk, here's another report from sports nationally from ABC.
A bad night for the NBA's top teams. Hi, everyone. I'm Dave Packer reporting on sports. The New Orleans Pelicans were without star Anthony Davis against the defending champion Cleveland Cavaliers, but managed to pick up a win.
Moore launches a three, sideline right, no good. Hustle rebound for Galloway.
Great hustle.
Out to Evans, back to Langston for three straight away. Got it.
On WRNO, the Pelicans edge the Cavs 124-122. Cleveland has lost 2 in a row. The Warriors also suffered a surprising loss.
Waiters against Klay Thompson. 3 for the win. Got it! Oh, Waiters!
On WAXY, Miami defeats Golden State 105-102, snapping a 7-game winning streak. And the Rockets were no different.
Brogdon in front of Beverly. Screen by Monroe. Works left on the dribble. Brogdon passes out to Giannis. Shot clock at 4. Giannis on Ariza, lifting for a jump shot. He hits it.
On WTMJ, Milwaukee takes care of Houston 127-114. Staying on the court, the Thunder took it down to the wire with the Jazz.
Here comes Westbrook. Tie game. He pulls for the win. Got it.
On KZNS, Oklahoma City 97, Utah 95. College hoops, another conference loss for the Blue Devils.
Low in second, and it rattles out. 2-point game. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, and he dropped the ball. Hit off his foot. That's the game.
On the Blue Devil IMG Sports Network, NC State edges 17th-ranked Duke 84-82. Gonzaga remains undefeated.
It's a screen from Williams, drives into the paint. One-handed runner, comes up short. Karnowski rebound, put back off the glass, good, and a foul called on the Pilots.
On the Gonzaga IMG Sports Network, the Bulldogs take care of Portland 83-64. On the ice, a huge night for one Shark.
Sharks speeded ahead. Here's Marlowe breaking it. Breakaway backhand. He scores! Patrick Marlowe has scored his 4th goal of the 3rd period.
On the Sharks Radio Network, San Jose tops Colorado 5-2. Dave Packer, ABC Sports.
It's 8:40 now at iFiber One News Radio. Good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey. Nisqually Reach purchase protects some salmon habitat. Some of the last undeveloped shoreline along Puget Sound has been added to the Nisqually Reach Aquatic Reserve. The acquisition of 17.6 acres expands Jacob Point Park on Anderson Island to 100 acres, making Nisqually Reserve the largest protected marine park in South Puget Sound. Backpackers and climbers who want to camp in wilderness areas of Mount Rainier National Park, including along the popular Wonderland Trail, will now be able to submit reservation requests online. Park officials have been working on a new online reservation system and will begin taking requests online starting March 15th. People will also be able to pay for reservations online once those requests are approved. The park will no longer take requests by mail, fax, phone, or other delivery method. After a storm damaged the park's reservation software system last spring, the park was not able to accept reservations for its backcountry campsites last year. And each year, typically about 70% of backcountry campsites can be reserved in advance. So once again, that is coming up March 15th for your opportunity now to reserve areas around the Wonderland Trail and the Mount Rainier National Park. It's 8:42 at iFiber One News Radio. We'll take a quick break and come right back here on Daybreak.
Listening to Daybreak. Taylor Shellfish is a proud sponsor of the Environmentally Sound program. For 5 generations, the Taylor family's been stewards of a healthy and prosperous Puget Sound. In partnership with nature, Taylor Shellfish brings you the freshest, most sustainable shellfish you'll ever eat. Visit their store at 136 Southeast Lynch Road. Open daily from 10 to 6, and they're online at TaylorShellfishFarms.com.
Mason County Garbage and Recycling on Johns Prairie here in Shelton is pleased to offer safe and efficient removal services. Mason County Garbage and Recycling is always mindful of environmental standards and is continuously striving for the highest excellence. Mason County Garbage and Recycling, upholding your trust within the community. Questions? Call 426-8729. In Belfair, 275-4590. The one constant in this world is change, continuing and inevitable. Things here in Mason County are about to change for the better. iFiber Communications is now a proud service provider for Mason County PUD 3. iFiber Communications is now offering high-speed internet in Mason County. Next generation ISP services to your home and business. Next generation internet, 100 megabit per second speed to your home. Next generation television, high definition television unlike anything you've ever seen before. Next generation telephone, never get a long distance bill again. iFiber Communications is so much more than just an ISP. We're part of the story that is yet to be be told here in Mason County. Change is here. iFiber Communications. To find out more, stop by our offices, 3rd and Coda, or call 427-4000 or find us at ifiber.tv.
It's 8:45 at iFiber One News Radio. Good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey. Well, yesterday, the IRS began accepting electronically filed tax returns for the April 18th deadline for tax day. I'm happy to have on the air with me this morning from Wittenberg CPA, the man himself, Mike Wittenberg. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Jeff.
How are you?
Doing well. How are you doing?
I'm well. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Here we go.
Man, I thought there was at least some time of the year where financial folks, especially in your industry, get a little bit of a break, but it doesn't seem you're always working.
It's either doing what we do for compliance, or it's getting ready for the next year, or it's doing the off-season kind of firm planning and such. So yeah, it's there's always something on the plate.
My goodness. So as I mentioned, yesterday was the first day that the IRS began accepting electronically filed tax returns, and I guess there are folks out there that already have all their stuff ready to be filed at this point.
I've prepared a couple already, and we don't do a lot of simple returns, but those folks who have a W-2 that can go online with the IRS or go to an H&R Block kind of office, sure, you can get those done, and the IRS is ready to accept them.
Let's talk about a couple of the changes this year. The first one is tax returns that also include pass-through entities. There's another change here?
Yeah, so what was requested and what was accepted by Congress when they passed the last piece of legislation about tax law was to delay the corporate deadline. So entities that are large, that are the Microsofts, the Gs of the world, get until April 15, which this year is April 18th because of the weekend and the holiday. Mm-hmm. But the trade-off there was that for those of us who work with entities that are pass-throughs, which would be LLCs, partnerships, S corporations, those folks, we have to get their filings done, all of those filings done by March 15, or put them on extension.
Okay.
So it's kind of deferring the bigger companies, which made sense, to April 18th, and then pulling back some of the pass-through entities to March 15.
The other one that actually I was talking with Allison Malushnik from the Asset Building Coalition yesterday was that there has been some delays as people get all the additional information on the child tax credits and the earned income tax credits.
Yeah, so what the intent here was is there's been a lot of fraud. People read about it. People either unscrupulous preparers preparing returns without legitimate people behind them, let's say, or individuals trying to file and take advantage of some of these credits because they're refundable credits. And so the IRS said, Congress said, and the IRS agreed, let's slow down the process of issuing these refunds. We'll accept the filings. We're going to process them more thoroughly. Let's wait until, they're saying about middle of February is when they're going to start issuing some of those refunds where earned income tax credits or additional child care tax credits are involved. Because, once again, those are refundable type credits.
And some of these situations are perhaps even also when one family in a divorced family, one person will claim 1 year, one person will claim the other year and then forget or somehow.
Can be one of the most interesting situations where you're trying to coordinate with maybe a former spouse who's not as cooperative, trying to figure out who's on first with dependents. And coupled with that, of course, are education credits for college-age kids where you have to track down where's that kid and where'd that credit go and where should it rightfully go.
Oh, wow.
It's an interesting chess match.
All right, moving into 2017, let's got some reminders. Let's start with some reminders for business owners.
Yeah, so a couple of quick things. I just wanted to point out the obvious about the increase in the state's minimum wage. So state of Washington employers pay attention that $11 is the effective hourly minimum wage for this year. It'll be increased over the next 3 years, actually, but that's the first step in the increase. And one thing that often, this is kind of one of those challenges for compliance for a lot of companies, is that 1099 compliance, where you're a company, you pay service provider, whether it be computer tech, whether it be a legal fee. Those folks who receive those that compensation from your firm need to receive a 1099. And what that 1099 does, of course, is it confirms how much was paid to what individual with their tax ID. So it's a tracking mechanism for the IRS to know who's receiving all these fees. And of course, for the company who pays them, it's important to be in compliance to show that you did pay those fees, and that's the tracking mechanism is a 1099. Now, new this year, which is unfortunate for those of us who work with businesses that have to prepare 1099s, is that they must be all filed by the end of this month before you could have more time, additional time to have those filings made. And I'm not talking just to the recipient, but actually with the IRS. So IRS and the recipient are both supposed to receive those documents by the end of this month.
Wow.
So they've really accelerated the process, which of course puts the crunch on businesses to get after those 1099s.
Interesting. What about for individual taxpayers?
So individual taxpayers, just once again reminders, because thankfully there aren't a lot of changes for this past tax year. The ACA, Affordable Care Act reconciliation process, which the IRS reluctantly has to take care of for individuals who are, primarily it's those folks who go through the exchange, and those folks who go through the exchange may get a credit, which is an advanced premium. And so when I prepare a return involving somebody in the exchange, there's the reconciliation of how much was received in credit, how much should have been received based on your income. Is there a payback, or is there a recovery of perhaps more premium? So it's one of those things where the ACA law required that IRS be involved in the compliance aspect of the law. Another thing, just to remind you also, is that those of us who are maybe having change in family circumstances, whether it be a change in your marriage, children, additional deductions you might be eligible for, is that you want to look at updating your W-4.
Okay.
And most employers really should pass those out annually, in our opinion. We do a lot of payroll compliance for our business clients, and we always advocate for get the W-4 out, make sure all the employees know what their withholding status is. If they need to make changes, let's do it at the beginning of the year if we can.
And so you can change those often?
You can change them when you want to. Usually I would say at least at the beginning of the year, because that's when hopefully you know how last year may have shaped up. You may do a quick estimate of how your taxes are going to be looking going forward. So it's a good time to get things set correctly.
Okay. New year, new president, new administration. There is a lot of questions out there for folks on all sides, you know, in business, in individual. Now when it comes to potentially the Affordable Care Act and things like this, what have you been hearing? What are some potential changes for this upcoming year?
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting as the year unfolds. We're all kind of pins and needles, because we have, sounds like a president who's willing to make changes. There have been proposals in the past when you had a Democratic president and a Republican Congress. Now you've got both Republican in both positions. So we'll probably be seeing some changes. How much is really what I would be looking at as far as changes. One of the things that has been kind of the most often talked about, and probably the simplest thing to do, is to flatten out the brackets again. Back in the Reagan years of his presidency, he promoted a pretty simple three-rate program for tax rates, and this is the same as what's being presented under the Trump administration, or at least a proposed idea. He's hoping for a 12, a 25, and a 33% bracket, whereas now we've got about 5, and so we go right now from 10 all the way up to 39.6. This would flatten down the bracketing, so fewer options for the taxpayer.
Okay. And then corporate tax rates, that's always another big conversation to be had, and new administration, probably some new ideas here.
Yeah, so corporations, you know, there's a lot of talk about those who aren't paying their share, and some of the big corporations truly haven't been. When they keep money offshore right now, they're not required to bring it back, therefore they're not required to pay U.S. taxes. So the big discussion has been, how do we motivate corporations, especially the bigger companies, to bring their money back onshore, repatriate they call it. So the idea is that if we can flatten our U.S. tax rates down and simplify the code for even the biggest companies, the GMs of the world, the Microsofts of the world, then they'll repatriate this money, and then at least we'll get the tax rate that we should get at a lower rate, sure, but at least there'll be taxes that'll be received by the Treasury. So that's the motivation. What's really interesting, though, is that not only for the big guys in Trump's proposals, President Trump's proposals, he's also talking about the pass-through entities. Now, pass-through entities, as we're talking about them, the tax burden ultimately falls on the individual taxpayer. So at the company level, you're not paying the tax. He's talking about when the recipient individual receives that pass-through income from that entity, that's where the rate's going to also be reduced. And they're hoping for, they're talking about a 15% proposed rate on that income. Well, that income could be, I have clients that may pay at the top rate. They may be in that 33 to 39.6% rate. So if this legislation or this proposal actually becomes law, it's going to be a significant benefit to even those small companies.
Wow. And the other proposal that is often talked about as new and Republican-specific administrations come in, the elimination or repeal of the estate tax, death tax that people sometimes talk about.
Yeah, I think those who don't like it love to call it the death tax. It really is truly an estate-level tax because you're not paying it's not a pass-through tax, it's paid at the estate level. So if somebody passes, they have the ability, and under current law, they have the ability to exempt over $5 million at the federal level, over $2 million at the state of Washington level. Those used to be linked, and I hope at some point in time they're recoupled because it's confusing for someone to come in and have a loved one who's passed and have the discussion of, well, the federal level you're fine, but at the state level, we need to look at taxation at the state of Washington level. So I'm hoping they recouple those exemption levels.
Interesting. Well, you can find out more as you can start filing your tax returns electronically now through April 18th. And if you need help, a great guy to get some help is with Mike Wittenberg. Find out more at wittenbergcpa.com. He's on Railroad 426-0230. And why don't you come on back throughout the rest of this, at least first quarter here, to talk about some of these changes. Be really interesting to kind of see how it all affects us on the down home level.
Yes, you and me both. We're going to be dialed into these changes, and I'm sure there's going to be quite a few.
Very good. Mike Wittenberg, CPA, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Good to talk with you. It's 8:56. That pretty much puts the wraps on the show today. We're going to get a CNBC Business Radio report and hearing from the Old Farmer's Almanac. It's all coming up right here on Daybreak.
So is being competitive all around killing your competition? I think not. I'm Ken Rakowski. This is Business Rockstars.
Weekends, iFiber 1, KMAS Shelton.
I'm Tom Busby, CNBC. It's no wonder that sales of existing homes fell nearly